thanks very much indeed. Very warm welcome on this pretty cold night outside to the 2019 TVE Global Sustainability Film Awards, together with our main sponsor, which is the Fastflow Group. Now, these awards celebrate efforts by businesses to make the UN Sustainable Development Goals actually happen. They also celebrate those who are conveying all this very good work through the medium of film. These awards are different because the winners tonight have been judged both by the quality of the storytelling as well as by the credibility of the initiatives that they highlight. Watching these films is peeking a little bit into our future, a future where our cities exist in harmony with nature and the products we consume are actually good for the planet. Well, these films give us hope in pretty bleak times, it has to be said, that a more sustainable world is possible. As someone who was involved in the very first Global Sustainability Film Awards back in 2012, can hardly believe it, it is an absolute honour for me to return as your host tonight. Back then, Serena Narula was our founder, and together we pretty much did it with me, Serena's here, hi Serena, and Serena lent me her niece in order to be our volunteer. So I'm absolutely thrilled that it has just gone from strength to strength. And certainly without further ado now, can I welcome to the stage the new Executive Director of TVE, Nicole Itano.
Thank you, Lisa. Well, what a year this has been. Young people on the streets, Greta on the stage of the UN General Assembly, and David Attenborough seemingly everywhere, showing us the beauty and fragility of our planet. Finally, the conversation seems to be about whether, not about whether we need to protect our home, but how. And for me, it's been a huge pleasure to join TVE, an organization that has been the forefront of this movement for 35 years, at a time when changing the world actually feels possible. And that's why we're here tonight, to celebrate how business is leading the way, and how they are inspiring us all to believe in a more sustainable world. It's my pleasure tonight to introduce Neil Armstrong, CEO and Chairman of Fastflow Group. As the main sponsor of these awards for the past 5 years, Fastflow has shown tremendous commitment to the sustainability agenda. And in their day-to-day work, they are also very much on the front line. Improving how we build, heat, manage and maintain our communities is at the heart of building a more sustainable future. Neil, if you could say a few words.
Thank you, Nicole, and thank you for such a kind introduction. And thank you, Lisa. I think you're far nicer than Darius. I think we're very lucky. It's wonderful to be here at the Mayfair Hotel while BAFTA is being refurbished. It's my 5th year that I've attended this event, and being brutally honest, there's something inside of me that sometimes wonders if we have maybe bitten off more than we can chew. Just like the dead whale that was found in the Philippines with 88 pounds of plastic in its stomach. We keep meeting, we keep talking, we keep watching, we keep worrying, but unfortunately, the Amazon fires keep burning. The British Heart Foundation declares air pollution to be as big a threat to our health today as obesity. The Met Office calculates that a heat wave this summer is 30 times more likely than when records began. And in the UK alone, we incinerated 10.8 million tonnes of rubbish in 2018. Now that's 6.5% higher than the previous year. Now, it would be all too easy to just give up at this point, throw our hands in the air hysterically and say, that's it, you can't do any more, it's just too big. And just push the responsibility onto those with much greater power than we can muster. But then you have to consider the better news. The inspirational teenage climate change activist Greta Thunberg. A Christmas ice rink in Bristol replaced by a roller skating feature to save on refrigeration. Greggs, Costa, Starbucks, Morrison's, John Lewis and Heathrow Airport installing 12,000 free-to-use water refilling stations to replace bottled drinks. The Co-op developing a compostable carrier bag to replace plastic. Marry it, phasing out single-use plastic, shampoo, conditioner, soap, shower gel containers by the end of next year. On a breezy day in March, wind generated 37% of the UK's entire electricity supply. Thousands of acres were added to protected national forests in the United States. And this is a really bizarre one. Australian scientists discovered that including a type of pink seaweed in a cow's diet can reduce their methane production by 99%. How cool is that? Now, that's a lot to digest, particularly if you're a cow. But what does it all mean? All these wonderful things. What does it mean? For me, it's really simple. Talking is great, but this is now a time for real action. Let's demonstrate change rather than complaining that it's just not happening fast enough for us. Let's join a political party that has the environment at the very top of its priorities. Let's switch to an electric car. Let's lobby government for tougher, tighter controls. Let's take the train rather than fly. Cycle rather than drive. I sound like my father when I say this one, but let's wear an extra jumper rather than overheating the entire house. Let's carry a reusable coffee cup rather than buying and then discarding new ones every day. I could go on, and trust me, I have done. Just ask some of my colleagues here tonight, and God help my children. But the point is that we can change attitudes over time. Now, how long ago was it that we drove without a seatbelt? We smoked in the pub. We believed that meat was crucial to an athlete's diet. We drank from a plastic straw without feeling guilty. And remember how not so long ago the ozone layer was disappearing and we were going to follow in its wake. Well, we did act. We replaced spray-on with roll-on. We changed the way fridges were manufactured. And lo and behold, the UN has confirmed that the hole is closing, and fast. So you see, things are changing, and they can change, but only if we grab on tight and don't let go. Now, we and our governments often have very different agendas. They're trying to fix the economies in the short term, to win votes in the here and the now, which is why the environment and social justice across the planet can never be at the top of their manifesto. Those issues are just too far from the pressing matter of getting elected on December 12th, unless we make them the pressing issues. There's no time to wait. To create a world that isn't just fit to get a government elected next month, but one in which our children and grandchildren can live safely. So let's get on with it, making things happen, making politicians understand that this is our first priority, and making those in power realize that if they don't listen and get stuck in, they will lose our votes. Let's follow the example of these incredible films, which have created such an amazing shortlist. Their work is as outstanding as ever, and perhaps this year, maybe more outstanding. What's particularly noticeable is their range, from plastics to artificial intelligence, from infrastructure to climate. Water, my particular passion, is brilliantly represented, including City to Sea's powerful feature, Turning Tides. These films have blended the beauty of our world and, unfortunately, the tragedy within it in a way that is unique to the screen. So let's not just watch these wonderful films, but share them, shout about them, and be inspired to create our own change. Because talking without any action is simply a mirage. So, we've run out of excuses. It's time for action. Personally, professionally, and politically. And when our collective actions and words create an impact that's loud enough, the politicians will follow. But if we sit tight and wait, and the inevitable happens, we will have no one to blame but ourselves. Thank you.
And I think, people like, Greta Thunberg and other activists are making politicians and leaders of corporations and businesses around the world sit up and think, what is your legacy? What do you want to be remembered for? Do you want to be that CEO or leader of an organization that doesn't act and that doesn't make the changes that are necessary to get things back in check in terms of our environment and sustainability? I think it should be high on every human being's agenda. It's not just about corporations or politicians or governments or whoever. It's a human necessity to get this situation, this catastrophe that we're heading towards, to get it in check. So we're at emergency status now, and if we don't fix this soon, we're going to reach a point where getting it back in order is going to be nigh on impossible. So we need to act now. I think one thing about the human race is that we have an amazing ability to find solutions. And what is it the great saying is, necessity is the mother of all invention. And I think probably the biggest challenge is our dependency on fossil fuels. And I think, the quicker we can create an electric, where everybody is driving electric cars and buses and even aircraft and aviation. They're doing wonderful things in agriculture. For example, they've introduced a pink seaweed which you can feed to cows, which reduce their methane production by 99%. But I think our addiction to vehicles and air travel, we need to really wean ourselves off the fossil fuel power. I'm a father to 2 children, and I want a world that's going to be safe, where they can drink clean water, where there's nobody defecating in rivers around the world, where we don't have flooding on a mass scale. I'll give an example too. I visited Nepal a few years ago, where unfortunately diarrhea is killing more children under the age of 5, more so than measles, HIV, and malaria combined. And that's down to the environment and the world that we live in. And if we don't fix it, we as human beings don't get out there and activate the means by which to fix this, well then I think shame on us.